Okay, we're going to look at factoring simple trinomials. So first I want to go back and remind myself how to multiply out binomials. So there's no plus or minus between the two brackets, so that means I want to multiply everything in this bracket with everything in this bracket. So that means I'm going to do x times x and x times 7 and 1 times x and 1 times 7. So 1x times 1x is 1x squared. 1x times 7 is 7x. 1 times x is 1x. And 1 times 7 is 7. So now I've multiplied everything in the first bracket with everything in the second bracket. Now I want to add my like terms. So I get x squared plus 8x plus 7. Let's try one more. So again, I want to multiply everything in this bracket with everything in this bracket. So I'm going to multiply x and x and x and 4. And then I'll multiply 3 times x and 3 times 4. So 1x times 1x is 1x squared. X times 4 is 4x. And now I start again. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times 4 is 12. And now I'm going to add my like terms. So I get x squared, 7x, and 12. Now I want to look at going backwards. That's what factoring is. So this is expand and simplify. Now I want to factor. So factor means taking this answer and figuring out what the two brackets were that gave me this answer. So now I'm going to go backwards. So let's look at a few questions. So there's a pattern to doing these. So I'm going to write my x. And I want to look at two numbers that multiply to the last number. So I'm going to put the 1 up here on top. And then I want to look at two numbers that add to this middle number. So I'm going to put my add on the bottom. So I want two numbers that multiply to 1 and add to 2. So the only numbers that multiply to 1 are 1 and 1. So I'm going to put plus 1 here and plus 1 there. So the numbers that I found here are the numbers that go in the brackets. So I will say that this is x plus 1 and this is x plus 1. So you're going to split up that x from x squared, and then you get x plus 1, x plus 1. You could also write it as x plus 1 squared. Let's just do a quick check, and then we'll keep moving. So let's just check. So let's take x plus 1 and x plus 1, and just to ensure that we get the question back. So I'm going to multiply everything in this bracket with everything in that bracket. So I'm going to get x squared plus 1x plus 1x plus 1. So I'm multiplying this by this by this, that by that, and that by that. So I have x squared. I'm going to add my like terms, and I have plus 1. So this pattern works. Let's try it again. So I'm going to write an x. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to this last number 9. So I'm going to write 9 at the top. And then I want to find two numbers that add to this middle term 10. So I look at the numbers that multiply to 9. I have 1 and 9 or 3 and 3. I look at the combination that would add to 10. So that would be plus 9 and plus 1. You can write plus 1 or plus 9. You can reverse them. That doesn't matter. It's still right. So I'm going to say that my two brackets would have been x plus 9 and x plus 1. Let's try it again. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 9. So I'm going to put 9 there, which is the last term, and they add to the middle term, which is 6. So again, I look at the combinations for multiples to 9. So I get 1 times 9 or 3 times 3. And then I look which pair will add to 6. So I can say plus 3 and plus 3. So my two brackets would have been x plus 3, or I could write it as x plus 3 squared. Keep going. So I'm looking for two numbers in this case that multiply to 20 and add to 9. So I look at numbers that multiply to 20. So I have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. The two that would add to 9 would be 4 and 5. So I'm going to write plus 4 and plus 5. So then I can create the two brackets, x plus 4 and x plus 5, and that would give me back that original function. Okay, so let's do our x again. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 30 and add to 17. So I'm looking for numbers, so I have 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. So then I have to think about which ones will give me a sum of 17. So that would be plus 2 and plus 15. So then I write out that it would have been x plus 2 and x plus 15. If I multiply this out, it will give me that answer. Okay, so I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 4 and add to 5. So the combinations for 4 are 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Which one adds to 5? I'm going to say plus 1 and plus 4. So now I have x plus 1 and x plus 4. Let's try one more. I'm going to draw my x. I'm looking for a product of 12 and a sum of 13. So I look at for what multiplies to 12. So I have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. And then I want to figure out the combination that would give me 13. So that would be 12 and 1. So I can say it's x plus 12 and x plus 1. You could also say it's x plus 1 and x plus 12. You would still be correct.